Hello, my name is HanK. This is my first time making an attempt to make a YouTube video. Never have done this to this point, so I'm pretty excited and nervous. I've been seeing a lot of things that I've been wanting to talk about and see what other people think or feel about the same subjects. And the one thing that sticks out the most at this time in my mind, aside from the politics, I'll leave those alone for now, is Kratom. Actually, that is a part of politics at this point, but it's also got other applications to consider, as well as the medicinal principles that Kratom has. So I guess what we need to figure out is, what is Kratom? Why is it such a big deal in today's society? Well, Kratom has been around for generations, for decades. It's from Malaysia. It was actually known to be used for ceremonial principles and medicinal application principles in Malaysia. Kratom is a form of a tree. It comes in a leaf and it grows on a tree. Now that tree is a direct member or family member of the green tea tree, which is significant because it reflects how it is a natural substance. It grows from the earth. It is not man-made in any form or fashion. The process of harvesting Kratom is just gathering the leaves from the Kratom tree, allowing them to dry out and crushing them into a powder. That way they are able to be consumed by the human person. I mean, in Malaysia, they were also known to just take the leaves themselves and chew on them directly. And there are 3 strands of Kratom that are used. You got your Mangda red, Mangda white, Mangda green. And each strand focuses on a designated condition or issue. For myself, I enjoy using the Kratom red for pain. It helps manage pain and prevents me from having to use narcotics. And some people use the white and the green for anxiety, depression, and many other aspects. It has been proven scientifically that Kratom, depending on the application process, can improve a person's cognitive thinking. Yes, it helps a person focus. It helps a person remember. Kratom has been presented to society by the FDA to be a harmful product. The FDA has spent millions of dollars in efforts to try to have Kratom categorized as a Class 1 felony to sell or use. And to identify Kratom as a Class 1 felony, it would be comparable to heroin, cocaine, crystal meth, and all the other synthetic drugs used in society today. The FDA has provided information about 47 deaths, and the FDA has tried to sell the idea that those deaths were caused by the use of Kratom. In further exploration of the evidence, scientists have learned that those 47 deaths were actually a result of what is known as polydrug deaths. Polydrug means multiple drugs, multiple forms of drugs, not to exclude alcohol. The FDA continues to say that the 47 deaths caused by Kratom is the reason why we should ban Kratom. And these deaths were dated back to 2012. It is 2019. And right now there's only 47 deaths that the FDA can even remotely say was caused by Kratom. In further investigation of the autopsy reports, it was learned that each of those deaths revealed that the amount of Kratom in each of the victims' systems were at traceable amounts, and other drugs such as heroin, crack, cocaine, and even alcohol was at lethal toxic limits and proved to be the cause of the fatality. Kratom was identified to only be traceable and may not have been consumed within the 24 hours of the victim's death. But the FDA wants you and the common citizen to believe that Kratom is this horrible drug. Doctors have started to implement using Kratom instead of narcotics to help control pain. Drug addicts, alcoholics have been known to use Kratom to help get them off and break their addiction of using drugs and alcohol. And it has been successful. I'm a prime example of it. I have suffered as many injuries as I have, gone through as many surgeries as I have, and the one thing that is common that the doctors continue to issue me is the drug that the FDA tries to get everyone involved in using, known as hydrocodone or another form of narcotic. As long as you or I are using narcotics, the FDA and DEA and all those in between get their money. But when we start using the resource known as Kratom, the millions of dollars that the FDA had devoted to prove that Kratom was bad for us would be lost if society became aware of how beneficial Kratom actually is. And if the FDA succeeds in having Kratom banned, they will gain billions of dollars, because the FDA has presented this idea that once Kratom is made illegal, the FDA will provide a substitute 10 years after Kratom is banned. So the millions of people that use Kratom today for all their medicinal principles and applications would be exposed to having to suffer and endure the process of going through the pain and mental anguishes that they are experiencing that are being controlled through the use of Kratom. Those same individuals that have started using Kratom and have found it to be beneficial would then be forced to go and find another means to help control pain, depression, drug addiction, alcoholism, and many other ailments, whatever else that Kratom can help individuals with. It is disturbing to know that the FDA has tried to take the angle in pushing to ban Kratom like they have done. Utah just recently announced that they are legalizing Kratom for common application and use and will not ban it. I stand to hope to see other states follow suit, because if we fail to stand up and face the FDA at this point, what other measures will they be willing to go through to interfere with your life, to interfere with my life, the millions of others that are out there that are trying to find a means to live and provide for their families? If Kratom was banned today, I can honestly say that the pain I experience on a daily basis would overwhelm myself to the point where I would not be able to function as a normal person doing simple tasks such as washing dishes, helping with my kids, playing with my kids, going to work, standing on my feet, doing simple job requirements at work. I've also found that Kratom does give me a sense of relief with depression. So I stand as an advocate for Kratom and the use of Kratom, because I have seen firsthand how Kratom can benefit a person. And if it can benefit me, I can only imagine the millions of others that would benefit from this same resource, this natural resource. Now, it's safe to say that everything is good in quantities. You will read articles that say Kratom causes sickness and causes addiction and all these other claims that have not been scientifically proven. But the one thing I have learned is, just as caffeine or food or water are designed to be taken in limited quantities, it stands to say the same for Kratom. Now, I stand before you and say, if you choose to use Kratom, I think that you may find yourself happy to have done or made that choice. If you do choose to use Kratom, use it as a tool to make your situation better. Do not abuse it. I think if you take 2 teaspoons, and a prime example, I guess I should say, a prime example of using it in proper quantities would be to take 2 teaspoons of the powder form, level teaspoons, place it in a cup, put hot water, if you have a Keurig, run hot water in there, and stir it up, let it cool down. And if you like stuff like ginger or garlic, those items seem to enhance the effect. You can learn about that by reading more on Kratom and the effects that it has and how it works. You'll also learn that there are certain types of agents out there that acts as bonding agents that helps your body absorb Kratom most effectively. And the two things that I have found that helps the most with enhancing Kratom's purpose or how it works is In the process of stirring it with the hot water, I infuse ginger or garlic. Ginger typically in the morning because it stands to be sweeter. And in the afternoon, I go with the garlic because it's closer to dinner time, and who doesn't like garlic? Well, I guess there's a lot of people that don't, but I stand to like garlic. But when I have used ginger and garlic infused with the Kratom, I experience a better effect from the Kratom than what I do when I don't use ginger or garlic. But if you allow those items to stand in that mixture and cool down, that'll give the chemical reaction time to bond, and when you go to consume, your body will react better and quicker, and you'll feel cleaner off of it. You don't get that sick feeling that you would experience with having too much caffeine, or the sick feeling you would have from having too much sugar. So, in general, I guess in a nutshell, don't be afraid to test or try Kratom if you're in a place where it's legal, or if you're given the opportunity to try Kratom. But if you choose to try Kratom, do it sensibly. I mean, you hear the same words come from people when you're consuming alcohol. Consume responsibly. It's the same principle. You can have too much of a good thing, and if you get too much, it won't work as desired. So start off in baby steps. Now, I don't recommend that anyone just go and do 2 teaspoons like I am stating now. I had to work up to that. When I first started using Kratom, I would only use 1 teaspoon of Kratom. And I worked up to the 2nd teaspoon. I currently use a mixture of red mangda on a daily basis with every use or application, and I mix it half and half with either white mangda or green mangda. It's good to mix them up because your body can develop a tolerance, just like your body can develop a tolerance to caffeine or any other item that you know. Your body can develop a tolerance, and by mixing the strands, it keeps your body honest so that it does not develop that tolerance. If you have any further questions, post them on here, and I'll do my best to get back with you. Like I said, this is my first time doing a YouTube video, and you know, I think awareness is half the battle. As a matter of fact, before we stepped onto a battlefield in the military, it was understood that knowing your enemy's capability, where they're at, and just being aware of your environment led to success. That goes in any form of application of life. Awareness is more than half the battle. Gathering the tools is the rest. Implementing action is the easiest part, but gathering information and awareness is where we're at right now with Kratom. So, good luck in your endeavors in life. I hope you find happiness. If you do decide to use Kratom, please share that information with others so that we can try to band together and get it so that millions of people can utilize Kratom rather than having to worry about persecution of using Kratom. This is HanK. Have a good one. Thanks.